how I was hiding this feeling of shame, this small feeling like something is not right. We are excluded. The shame is there.
Would you say you're proud of your disability?
I'm conscious about how unique this disability is.
Freaks No More. Hey everyone, I'm Vicky, and this is our podcast, Freaks No More. We tackle myths about visible and invisible disabilities and neurodivergent brains. And we show you how you can be a good ally to people who just experience the world differently. So how did it all start, really? Freaks No More has been our dream project for a while now. We just felt that there isn't enough visibility in the media for people with disabilities and a real space where people can come share their personal stories with authenticity and without shame. Our first guest here is Filip Pawlak.
Hello, Vicky.
Hi, very nice to have you here in our studio and in our first very episode of the show.
I'm super happy to be your guest and to be the first guest. Oh, God.
So, Filip, you're from Poland and you're a performance artist and you're also an activist for people with disabilities.
Yeah, I would say more for artists with disabilities.
You stand kind of in between two worlds. On the one hand, you talk a lot about disability and your work related to disability, but also on the other hand, queerness. So what it is like to be queer, and you call yourself a gay crip. Some people might find that offensive, so I was wondering what's your relationship between these two words, disability and crip?
I'm trying to live with my identities, like close to them, as a queer person, as a gay person, as a Polish person, but also as a disabled person. And I was looking for something that is connected with the pride that I know from the queer movement.
It's kind of like the title of the show, Freaks No More. Like
Exactly.
We try to reclaim that word freak that might seem like a bit offensive to people and a bit like not in the right place. Yeah. But we try to use it in a positive way to describe a group of people. So,
I'm not sure if it's a positive. I think it's provocative, and it's
a little
good.
bit provocative. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and that for me it's fine. It's good. I'm trying to work with the people's emotions and with their reactions to a lot of things. So, like having any option to push them a bit, to put a question mark, like, oh, why? Why are you calling yourself creep?
For the people who are just listening, can you describe your disability?
The length of my arm is my disability. It's from my birth, so all my life. I'm a ginger, but that's, I hope, not disability still. I have one extra more. I'm HIV positive, which I know in a few countries is also considered as the disability. So that's the new identity I just got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for revealing it to us. What was it like for you growing up in Poland in terms of perceptions on disability? Are people mean? Do people understand it? Have you encountered like people being rude, not being very kind to you?
I would say that my childhood was great. But when I dig a bit more into that, it's of course more complicated. It was the childhood without a disability at all. So it was hidden. It was, of course, always on display because I never used the prosthesis or I was not hiding it. But I was also never talking about it. It was never named.
So no one really mentioned, like no one really approached you.
There, but
it's kind of a bit like a touchy subject maybe for some people that don't want to approach you, don't want to ask you.
Yeah, exactly. So it was... I think the main goal for my parents was to raise me as the normal kid. And I'm not saying that it was wrong. I think that was the best that they could do in the moment. It was, of course, covered and really covered in the shame that I can discover now, and I can rethink my childhood memories of why I was, for example, not doing certain things and why I was doing something. Like when I was a bit older, like a teenager, why I was making fun out of me, how I was hiding this feeling of shame or this small feeling like something is not right. I'm a bit different. I have a friends. I'm a popular, something.
But there's something that we don't talk about that is there, and I feel like a little bit uncomfortable with it, maybe.
I think that's the one thing, but maybe it's also normal when you are a kid that you have, like all of us probably have something that are not sure if it's good or not as a kid. That's how our identities are growing and how we are growing. But I think something that was different was this fear of possibility of being excluded. So like this constant fear that if I will do something wrong, and I have no guidance how to do it, but this constant fear that there is something I could do wrong, and then it's all gonna be closed over. It's gonna collapse.
All the opportunities.
All the opportunities. So that's the reason I was a bit too ambitious. I was doing a bit too much.
How is it changed from back then when you were a kid? Probably like there was a bit of shame. There was a bit of like this sense of uncomfortableness around talking about disability or acknowledging it. And now you're very open. You're very vocal about it. It's like part of your identity. So how did that transition happen?
I think it's really connected with art. I'm just working as an artist and just staying close to this world of ideas, of dreams, of feelings was really a way to discover myself again. The first artists with disabilities I met, they show me that you can be proud of it.
And it's okay. And
that's okay. That's even better than okay. That you can use it. And this is unique. This is something extraordinary.
Would you say you're proud of your disability?
I would say that I'm conscious about how unique this disability is, or like how special it could be. And I'm not thinking about particularly my body, but what point of view this experience of being disabled is giving me to command the world as an artist.
We talk a lot about how you perceive yourself and your identity, pride or shame, or like the evolution of your identities. But in this show, we have something special, as you can see on the camera. Maybe people are curious, like, what do we have behind us? For the people that are listening, we have this colorful spinning wheel that has a lot of colors on it. And each segment of the spinning wheel corresponds to a statement that we found on the internet, online, about people with disabilities. Some of these things are true. Some of these things are definitely not true. Some of these things are myths. So we're just gonna spin it and talk about it. Go for it. Or yellow.
It's yellow.
What does it say?
Very few people in the world have a disability.
Do you think that's true?
Of course.
Yeah?
There's only 10 of us everywhere. And we just want to rule the world. No, of course, I'm joking. It's, that's a pretty common. And that's exactly the feeling I had when I was a kid. And a lot of people who I now meet who are crip or with disabilities or deaf people, that they are the only people, that they are the only person in the neighborhood who are disabled, that there are only few of them, and that we don't know where we are, where they are, where is the community. There is no community. And this like feeling of being alone in the world, I think is really common.
On the one hand, you have your perception of it. You felt that there are very few people like you and probably there wasn't a community. But actually, statistically, over 1 billion people in the world, that's 15% of the world's population, live with some form of disability. And it's actually one of the largest minority groups. And it's when you say it like this, statistically, it makes all the difference, because you see there's so many people, but maybe it's stigmatized. Maybe in some countries it's not talked about. Maybe there's a lack of community in some places. Maybe from an individual experience, it really doesn't look like that many people.
I think like all of this, sadly, still in a lot of places, it's about excluding the people with disabilities from the normal social life. For example, the casual school system, the offices, the hospitals, so on. But I think that was also a decision of my parents. They decided against the advices from the doctors. Because, of course, when I was born, that was 90s in Poland, they told, you have to put Filip in the facility. Because he will be blind and deaf and will not function.
Yeah.
And they said no.
Why would
we? he only doesn't have hand. Of course it's something, but it's also not that much. And all the this first 20 years of my life, they were refusing to connect me anyhow to this community, because this community is existing there.
Yeah.
So that's something I lost. Maybe the people who are in the second parallel system, disabled system, they are not conscious that they could create the identity.
And their own communities.
Exactly.
As well.
That it's not only community about the health, mostly they are taught only about their medical conditions.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that there is this feeling of being alone.
It's the same where I'm from in Bulgaria. Like not so long ago, like a lot of people would put their children in institutions if a child is born, at least with a visible disability. Unfortunately, people think like, oh no, I don't know what kind of opportunities my child can get. And so they make these decisions that possibly wouldn't affect the child in a very good way when they grow up.
From the statistics, we know that the problems with access to art is everywhere the same.
So people are not given enough opportunities.
Exactly. Because, of course, like they maybe have the more opportunities to be independent, but not enough to do something that stupid as art. Because who would tell the disabled kid that
you can be an actor, you can be a painter, you can be you can be a star, you can be can be in movies.
That's something that in Europe is everywhere the same as the disabled or deaf artists. Usually, you cannot go to the regular acting school or dance school. You have this inclusive theater or something like that, the programs that are around the social issues, but not to the normal art universities.
And we can talk more about that, but let's spin the wheel again. Other
On
side.
The other side. Yeah. Okay,
red.
You can always see when someone has a disability.
But a lot of people actually have a disability that, you'd never guess. You'd never guess that they do. Like either I myself have ADHD, and some people consider ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder as a disability. And you can't see it. You don't know, like if I have ADHD, like someone has to ask me, like, how you diagnosed, for example, to know.
About disability, I usually believe in the self-identity, like calling yourself disability is enough for me. I don't have to know more. It's just if you are self-identifying yourself as a disabled or CRIP or how you prefer, that's enough for me. Mm-hmm. I don't need a list of medical conditions you have. I think that's the reason we should be more sensitive or like conscious about that a lot of disabilities that are not visible.
But also not be ashamed of it and not be, I don't know, like if to talk about this person, how do I approach this subject? Like be sensitive, but, kind of keep it quiet. Like we also shouldn't be, shouldn't be ashamed to talk to people really.
With this, it's problematic because there are two worlds that we are living on the same time. The world of promise, of dreams, where we shouldn't be ashamed of something.
And the real world.
Yeah. Because we are excluded. The shame is there. We have a lot of really hard feelings to process.
Do you think we're moving in a good direction, let's say, as a society?
And there is much more media coverage than it was when I was a kid. We are talking about it. We are here. This is the change that we can track and we can say, okay, it's here. The problematic part of it for me is that all this discussion and all this process can lead us to the point where we see that everyone is disabled or no one is disabled. That disability is like a normal thing. It's paradox, like we want to be treated as every person in the world, but on the other hand, we want to stay with our unique experience.
And identity and community.
And identity and the community.
And on that note, I want you to spin the wheel again.
Okay, I will try to do it. With the lower force.
That's the first one.
People with a missing arm can't use a phone. Tell my Instagram followers about it. I can even at the same time use phone, drive a car and smoke a cigarette.
At the same time, all three at once.
I shouldn't, but I can. I think, now with the technology, like not having an arm or leg or any part of your body, it doesn't change a lot.
Yeah. And talking about technology, actually, I was really wondering, have you tried to use a prosthetic arm?
I never had my own prosthesis. I have only one that the Polish health system gave me, and that was super ugly. That looked like a the leg of the pig, because it was like with this heavy plastic, with the hairs painted with the black paint.
And I guess as a kid, you wouldn't want to wear that.
Because we give it to the dog as the toy. So that was the only experience I had. Okay, one more. When I went to the doctor to check if I can have the transplant from that person, and he told me that not, but he can cut my small fingers from feet and put it on my left hand to have this kind of
like something to hold things,
something
like a claw?
to hold, yeah. And I was like, man, I don't have one hand, and you want to just destroy my feet? Like how I would look at the swimming pool, like I was so surprised. I was 12 years old and I was really like, oh no. But to be honest, that was one of the first moments when I thought about myself as a disabled person. I come back with parents after this visit, and that was the first moment when I have cried that I want to be normal kid.
Oh wow.
Then I felt that, okay, something is different with my body.
We talked about you and your identity, and kind of a little bit about you being an artist, but I want you to tell me more. Tell me, how did performance art find you? Did you find it? What's that story?
I think as a kid, I was just looking for a place where I can feel comfortable and safe, where I can feel accepted. And I think also now, art and the theater has this promise of being inclusive, accepting, diverse. So probably because of no other options, I went to some art classes as a kid and then to the theater, and I just started doing it. After trying to be a professional for the first time, so going to the art school after the high school, it turns out that the art world is not that welcoming, that it's not that nice. I got declined to the theater school because of my disability. And it took me a moment to just trust again the art world, that I will try again. And
so it was because of your disability. That must have felt like pretty...
I didn't know what to do that time, It was
rough.
just, it was rough, but I just hid it. I won some competition for the actors as the high school student, and I won it. And they told me at the end, after they gave me a prize, yeah, you speak nice, but you will never be an actor. That was hard. The last project we did, it's called Freak Show.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, your project Freak Show. We're going to talk a bit more about it later. I want to keep it as a little bit of a surprise. I mean, as you might have noticed, our show is named Freaks No More. And to learn more about the history of freak shows, we have with us a time machine. Literally, it's a button. It's a button that when we press together, it is going to take us back in time. And we're going to learn more about what freak shows were in the past.
3,
2, 1. In the 19th and 20th centuries, freak shows were a popular form of public entertainment. People with missing limbs or unusual bodies were exhibited as freaks or curiosities. The 19th century saw freak shows boom with P.T. Barnum's traveling circus, called the greatest show on earth. Participants were people like Annie Jones, the bearded lady, Charles Tripp, the armless wonder, James Morris, the man with elastic skin, and many more. In January 1899, the performers staged a protest demanding that the word freak should not be used to describe them. In 1932, the classic film Freaks came out. It had a cast including real performers like Johnny Eck, the half-boy who was born without lower legs, Prince Randian, the living torso who had no arms or legs, and performed everyday tasks with his mouth. Of course, as the disability rights movement gained traction after the Second World War, freak shows were increasingly seen as dehumanizing and unethical. These shows treated disability as spectacle and not as an identity. So, we're back in the real world.
That was also the real world.
Yes, the real world back in time. Yes. But I promised that we want to talk about Freak Show, your show.
The main idea behind the Freak Show was to create a group of artists with disabilities. Me and my friends, artists with disabilities and deaf artists, usually used to work alone. And then we thought that we want to do something together, just to try out, just to build together this movement.
And was that with artists from Poland?
Yes, that group of artists from Poland, Nadia Markiewicz, Daniel Gotowski, Babcia, Agata Wąsik, and the co-director who is not disabled, Łukasz Ronduda. And I am the director as well. And we were looking for the symbols in the past or like any history that could connect us. And then we found the freak shows.
Freak shows, yeah.
Which for us was, of course, the symbol of oppression and of objectifying the disability. But on the same time, that was also a community. That's the reason we chose it, and we chose it, and we decided to create our own freak show again. But this time we are owning it, we are ruling, we are directing it, we know it because we want it.
And also reclaiming in a way the word freak, because it's kind of like queer, you know, like the word queer was used like as a derogatory term.
Yes.
Now it's like it's reclaimed and the queer people using it with pride. You know, I'm queer and I call myself queer. Freak, the word freak still has like these connotations in a lot of people's minds, but you're trying to
we are trying
reclaim
to
it in a way,
play around it, reclaim it as well, but also reclaim the space in the art.
What do you think else needs to change in the art world to be more inclusive for disabled artists?
The presence of people with disabilities on stage and in art is new, and we don't know how to work with it. Me neither. I have no idea. I'm trying. I'm making a lot of mistakes. I know that sometimes it's boring, that sometimes it's hard to communicate what I want to say. It's not the traditional art. And for me, it's the resource, and I think it's great. But it's hard. It's not, the audience usually used to have the high-profile professional art. For example, in dance, like having the perfect bodies, like
sculpted and
exactly,
like trained
they are
and
perfect.
Yeah.
And we want to see them how people are perfect on the stage. And then when you put the disabled dancer just, one to each other, like to the professional ballet dancer, the audience will say, yeah, but I would prefer to see the ballet because they are much more skilled.
How can a person that is able-bodied, that perhaps has not heard of like theater performances that include disabled people, how can they be an ally? How can they support people with disabilities? How can they be more inclusive? People that probably haven't read much about disability, haven't met people with disabilities maybe. What can they do?
I think something that maybe is helpful is just to be curious and open. And that's, for me, what art is for. This presence of disability on a stage, it's really bringing something unknown, something uncomfortable, something that is undermining the norm.
And on that message, I want to thank you,
Thank you
for being our guest. So my conclusion would be to just be curious, be more curious and be more open and approach things. Maybe sometimes things are unknown, but approach them with curiosity, approach them with interest and see what comes out of it in the end.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Filip, for being
much.
here. What did you learn in this episode? And was there anything surprising? If you're tuning in on the audio-only version, I suggest you check out our YouTube video. You'll be surprised at how colorful it is. And if you have any questions, comments, or have any ideas of who you want us to invite next, you can write us an email on freaks@dw.com. Bye from me, and remember, be kind, be patient, and be understanding.
Freaks No More.